I could possibly not be any more excited because today one of my childhood friends is actually coming over with some great Yamadori material that he and his father dug up a while ago. Collected in the mountains of Norway, Matias is bringing me a pine that we're gonna put in some better bonsai substrate, some better soil. And we are gonna identify tells and look for signs how you learn when it's time to repot an old ficus. But first, we need Matias. What's up, Matias? How are you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. Spending early mornings, late nights, being out in the freezing wind, in the rain, in the snow. You have a pretty unique interest. Tell me more about it.
Well, yeah, actually it started as a hobby and later got to be my job, and still is my hobby though. I'm working as a professional photographer, and you know, being outside in the nature, I've always loved that. But when you got yourself a camera, you know, you really like to capture those moments, even, you know, if it's a beautiful landscape or just some wildlife you can encounter, or just some details in the nature. You know, it's just something that I need to do. It's my kind of therapy to do. Because when you spend so much time in front of the computer, that you actually do a lot as a photographer, I still need to get out and just do my own stuff, you know. That's really important for me. That's how I relax, not in front of the computer. And I don't know how many hundreds of great pictures I have that I haven't, you know, touched or opened in Photoshop or Lightroom, whatever, because, you know, I don't have to, because it's not my work. But maybe for some rainy day when I don't have anything to do, then, you know, then I open them and then I fix them if I feel inspired to do it.
Yeah. We have been friends for ages. We first met in like kindergarten. Somewhat 28 years ago or something like that.
Something.
Yeah. We have the same interest in common, wildlife and nature. We have been growing up around wildlife and nature. You were actually the first person that got me into bonsai. Tell me more about your bonsai interest.
My first real encounter with bonsai was 3.5 years ago when I lived in Spain, and me and my friends, we just spontaneously decided like that we want to eat at this nice Japanese teppanyaki place. So we hadn't made any reservations, so when we arrived they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's a little bit overcrowded now, but feel free to have a drink in our beautiful Japanese garden." We said, "Yeah, sure." I hadn't really seen any Japanese garden, you know, so I didn't really know what to expect. So we went out there, and like the first thing I saw was this beautiful, huge juniper standing there, and that was huge. It must have been at least 100 years old, and it was breathtaking. I had, of course, seen a lot of bonsai trees and pictures and that stuff, but like seeing that with my own eyes, it was, I couldn't believe it. It looked like a perfect tree, but a lot smaller.
You got overwhelmed.
Yeah, I did. I did. And my friends were like, I was like, "Have you seen this thing?" And I said, "Yeah, it's cool. It's a bonsai tree." But yeah, but have you seen anything like it? And I said, "No, not really." But you know, they didn't see it the same as I did. But I think it was then that I realized that, wow, I gotta have something like this myself.
So sometime later, when you got home, you know, what happened then?
Well, what happened then was that I started Googling and searching for it, and here in Sweden no one almost did it. It wasn't possible to buy them anywhere. But further down in Europe, like England, Germany, there's a little bit bigger, of course, the community. So I decided that I'm gonna buy some bonsai trees. And I bought some, pretty ones. Quite many actually, a little bit too many, because I was click happy or whatever you call it.
Trigger happy.
Yeah, well, something like that, I guess. Anyways, it was a huge mistake. Those trees came in really bad soil, and of course me as a amateur doing this, I didn't really understand what I was doing wrong, because all of these trees, they started to die, and I couldn't understand why, because they could handle the climate, and it was in the middle of the summer, or well, late spring at least.
I mean, you take for granted, right, that they should be in healthy soil.
Yeah.
They should be in a good condition.
Yeah, of course, and I think that it was you that told me, because you, of course, you were with me when we got this bonsai trees. It was problem with the post office to get them out, and I was like panicking about them, because I know they were really fragile, and I didn't want them to stand there over the weekend. It was late Friday, so this nice postman came and opened up after they closed, so I could get those trees. And we got them, and they were really beautiful, especially that big Chinese elm I got. And then you were quite thrilled about them yourself.
I was actually very thrilled.
Yeah, I think that you were like really more excited than I was when you first said, "Oh my God, they are so cool!"
Yeah.
I was like,
but that was like a highlight of my bonsai memories, because that really gave me perspective.
yeah,
I understood, oh wow, they can come in different varieties, different shapes and sizes. I back in those days I thought that bonsai trees were like shohin sized,
yeah,
small like this. I didn't understand that they can actually be pretty big, and you have different styles, you have a lot of species, deciduous, evergreens and so on. So it was like a journey for me there. Everything actually started to be serious around that point, actually.
Yeah, well, you started to ordering bonsai trees as well, and you also had some unfortunate happenings with the soil.
Yes, I did, and the soil is tragically a pretty common thing that people will screw themselves over with. So what will happen over time is that when a bonsai is planted in that kind of organic material, it will get compact, like almost like clay, and that will actually suffocate the roots over time. So that's a really bad thing. They cannot live in that soil. That soil is only for the phase before it goes into proper soil. Actually, it's like a cheap way for them to just send away the trees, because bonsai soil is expensive. The material that's inside is actually expensive. So that's a little misleading from the business, from the big companies to do that.
Yeah, I totally agree, and of course when you're an amateur you don't understand that.
No.
You just take it for granted that this tree will survive because it came right from the store. Like
Exactly.
it's like buying a new car and the engine won't work because something is wrong with it. It's so yeah, I think it's
Anyway, that's history now, right?
yeah.
Tell us more about this specific pine that you brought to me today.
It's a Yamadori that I collected on my father's land. Actually, we were out hunting by our cabin that we have in the Norwegian mountains. We were taking a little coffee break, just little talking, and my eyes just stopped when I looked at this beautiful little pine standing there in half swamp, and I was like, I gotta check this out. So I went there and I looked at it and investigated it as much as I could, and then I just said that I'm gonna have this. And my dad said, okay, why? Like,
He couldn't see what you could see.
no, but you know, he was like, oh, you mean for bonsai? You know, so yeah, and you know, I started there, you know, we should bend it like this, you know, a little bit like this and that. And
Yeah. You could see the potential.
Yeah,
in
I
the
could see the
material.
potential, like lots of potentials of it. You could do a lot with it. I think when the training is done, it took like 30 minutes to get it out, and I don't know, it was probably 30 to 40 kilos
Yeah.
to carry.
That's a small tree that he had in comparison. It's a beautiful tree, but you know, they can be pretty huge sometimes.
I imagine they can, and you know, you gotta get a lot of soil. I contacted you, and I called you.
I remember that phone call. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to walk up further in the mountain to get the reception, and just to call you and say I found this beautiful pine, and I don't know what to do because I know where it is located, and but I don't know if I dare to have it still standing there. If some moose come and start eating on it, then it would be destroyed. So you said that, yeah, well, it's October, you can still take it. I would do that, and you gave me the instructions that to dig it up carefully. And
you can have collected material in the same soil with some good drainage under the root base for some time, but then eventually it will be time for repotting. So with better drainage, of course, with better substrate. But you can actually have that, especially with evergreens like pines and junipers. We went from a substrate that was not good and not sustainable for the next coming 2-3 years for this tree. The original substrate was full of organic matter, and it was not as airy, and the drainage was really bad. But that's all taken care of now. Now it's time to repot my ficus, and this tree right here has shown some weaknesses lately, and me and you, we are going to go through those tells and signs when we do this repot. The soil level is very compact. The water has a hard time actually running through. That is one of the first signs that the tree needs repotting. If you take a look at this specific branch right here, you can see it has dried up for no particular reason. This is a problem. The tree has completely stagnated, it has stopped growing, and that is also a sign of it needs to be repotted. In order to keep the same angle that I want for the repot, I need to use bonsai wire, and that is what I'm going to do. So I will start with taking wire here, and I will apply that somewhere around the trunk line. And then I will make another installation of wire up here. Just make a little loop using the chopstick like this. And apply that and anchor that up here. And what we're gonna do now is that we're gonna attach this piece right here onto this piece, and when these two connect, you have a perfect angle. Because if the tree were to be tilted or planted in a different angle, they wouldn't connect right. It would be like this, or this. This will all be removed afterwards, of course. This is just for the repotting. So every time you have a root-bound bonsai, or a tree for that matter, in progress, you will get like a carpet, a mat of roots, just flat underneath, and the roots will start to curve up and grow in circles round and round. This is how it looks. And this tree has been growing only for 1 year in this pot. That's how fast a ficus grows with excellent conditions. They can easily fill up a pot in this size in 1 year. If you watch closely here, you can actually see the roots pressing down in the clay of the bottom of the pot. This is all markings of the root system. That will be all for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If there's anything you like, remember to subscribe. Consider to like as well. Thank you so much for joining me today, Matias. It was a pleasure to work on your trees.
Thank you so much for having me.
Guys, I will see you next time. Let's grow together. Let's talk bonsai. Kan du skärpa dig?
Jag ska prova.